Okay, we're gonna try and do this in one take. I really want to talk about Doctor Who. I really do. I've thrown a few shows around when favourite TV shows ever discussions happen, but in all honesty, I think it would be dishonest of me not to think of Doctor Who as my all-time favourite. I was a year old when the show returned to air in 2005, and as such I've pretty much grown up with the modern era of the show. I've been there for the highest highs and the lowest lows, when the team behind the show were working at their creative peak and when they were spinning their wheels. I love this show. I always have, even when I stopped keeping up with new seasons because the quality of the writing began to slip more than it ever had before. So when I say that, despite enjoying most of the individual stories from the two most recent series of the show, the current era of Doctor Who feels the most soulless and creatively corrupted it's ever been, that comes from a place of genuine disappointment and even pain. Before I go further, I want to make my intentions clear. This isn't going to be some anti-woke rant from a grifter about how they made the show transgender. I'm not that kind of person, to be very clear. If anything, I'm woke as hell, but I'm not really going to discuss many of the politics of the recent seasons of Doctor Who because they're not really what I want to talk about. Also, if you're someone that genuinely believes that the show is bad now because the face-changing time traveller has now taken on the faces of a woman and a person of colour, well...
Your brain is broken and you need to leave the internet immediately.
Okay, so let's take a step back. Back in March, I uploaded a review of the 2016 Doctor Who spin-off Class. This video served the dual purpose of being a breakdown of a mostly forgotten TV show that I had a lot of thoughts on, as well as a test run for writing about Doctor Who related media. I had gotten back into Doctor Who the previous year in a big way after setting out most of the Chris Chibnall era, and I had been rewatching the entire show, along with the spin-off Torchwood, and I wanted to cover each series of Doctor Who in their own videos. Around a month later, Series 15, or Season 2 if you want to be wrong, of the show began airing on BBC and Disney+, and I watched with pretty high hopes. While the previous season received a bit of a mixed reception, I enjoyed much of it, while the overall series arc and finale were disappointing, as well as the season premiere being
Space babies.
Hello, Daddy. Hi, Daddy. Hello, Daddy.
Oh.
Everyone back to work. Show Mummy and Daddy what a good job we've been doing.
Well, it certainly was an episode. Stories like Boom and Rogue felt like great classic stories from Russell T Davies' first run on the show. Oh, we'll come back to you, Russell. While Series 15 was shot pretty much back to back with that previous season, it looked like it would still generally be an improvement. One aspect that specifically got me excited was the more serialized nature of the season. Not quite one story told over one season like Series 13, but a larger focus on connecting the individual stories to a plot, giving purpose to all of these adventures. I thought this was the right direction for the series to go, not completely changing the established formula of the modern era, but adapting that formula into a more story-driven, serialized format. As the season went on, I enjoyed it. We got great stories like Lux and The Well. The story in The Engine was a particular standout, with its themes of the power of storytelling demonstrating a deep understanding from writer Inua Ellams on what makes the show so important to so many people. The only road bump before the finale for me was the Interstellar Song Contest, for reasons I'm not really going to delve into today, but I might cover it in the future. By the time the finale rolled around, it was like waiting to see if the show was finally redeeming itself after years of claims that it jumped the shark. And even though I actually liked much of the first part, yeah, sorry, I cannot defend the reality war. A soulless display of Russell T Davies' continued attempts at smashing his Doctor Who action figures together, mixed with a clearly rushed and reshot ending, and a confusing departure from Ncuti Gatwa in the lead role, capped off with yet another stunt casting from Davies that left everyone that praised his return to the show feeling burned. And I wanted to talk about it. I fully intended to make a video discussing the future of Doctor Who and where it could possibly go from here, but I didn't. Despite trying, I probably have about 6 different video scripts at various levels of completion about this exact topic that I never ended up turning into finished videos. This is for 3 major reasons. 1. More news about the show kept coming. Stuff like BBC actively looking to expand the IP with a new kids show, or even the 2026 Christmas special eventually being announced. Number 2. My own thoughts about the future of the show kept changing. I fluctuated wildly between optimism that the show would continue, I mean it is probably the most successful and profitable IP owned by the BBC, and complete despair that we were about to enter another wilderness period for the next several years. And number 3, the summation of the previous 2 points, I just stopped being able to figure out what I wanted the video to be, and eventually I had to stop thinking about the show altogether. I couldn't even think about making any videos. I hadn't completely stopped writing. I write for a couple of blogs and occasionally my own gaming blog, but thinking about writing for this channel just completely drained me. So I went off for most of the year. I graduated university in July with a bachelor's in journalism, went to my first ever festival in August, went to a lot of gigs with some friends, recorded some music, watched some movies, played some games. I just generally lived life. But something still nagged away at the back of my mind. At the end of that video about class, I said that I would definitely put out one more video before the end of the year. It was kind of a joke. My intention was to put out way more than just 2 videos this year, but the sentiment still stuck with me. Not to get too personal, but this year has been a rough one for me, despite all of the fun stuff that I mentioned before, and a lot of that also got into the way of me making more videos this year. It's December now, and I wanted to do something before the year was over, and while I have a lot of ideas for cool videos that I fully intend to make within the coming months, I wanted to close out the year with something that wouldn't take so much time and research to produce as those. It would have to be something I knew a lot about, or something quite personal, something I could write about quickly. So I wrote about Doctor Who and how it gave me writer's block. And now here we are. If you want to know the purpose of this video, there isn't really one. Not for you guys anyway. I think this video is mostly just the culmination of my attempting to process what my favourite show had become. A man who I once looked up to for his role in bringing the show back to screens when I was a baby, now tarnishing everything that made it good with his obsession with generating content and living out his worst childhood dreams. Maybe Doctor Who will never recover from the rut it's been in for years now, but I'm not going to lose much more sleep over it. I've had great times with the show. It's taught me a lot, and all those old episodes are still there if I really want them. Who knows, maybe 5 years from now the show is going to be in a great place. We just have to wait and see. And hopefully by then I have an upload schedule that makes any goddamn sense.